Before I start this video, I want to say that I apologize for, maybe some FPS drops or uh other visual problems. This is like a PC I got when I was younger, and I haven't upgraded it since, so it might be a little bit slow, especially since I'm running this on OBS. Um, but I think the thing I want to talk about is I loved her, you know? I know you guys don't know um who she is, so I'll give you like a backstory. Basically, her name, I'm not gonna give her her real name. I'll just call her Violet for now. Violet, she was pretty, she was, you know, funny, she was a good person to hang around with. She matched my personality perfectly. She was great, right? And I feel like I may have been not the cause of the breakup, but like a big part of it, where it's like semi my fault, semi hers, you know. Like I basically went into the relationship with her when I was like highly depressed, and it caused me to be like, how do I say this? It caused me to be very vulnerable, especially when it comes to insecurities and stuff. Like I was very insecure, like maybe a year ago, I think is when I started dating her. Maybe a little bit over actually. But basically, we started out as friends. She started catching feelings, and I've already had feelings for her, like probably a month or two, maybe, before she had her feelings for me. Like I said, she was attractive. She was, funny. She was all these things that I thought I liked, and I did like them, right? I did like those things about her. But the more I look back at it, she wasn't really all that special. And that's a very mean thing to say, but it's true, that feeling that maybe there is not going to be someone out there for you if like you're going through a breakup or whatever. There most likely is, and I don't want to say something that's cliche, something that you've heard before, but there are truly more fish in the sea. Although I haven't found, that's gonna sound weird if I say that, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Although I haven't found the fish that I want, pause. Um, I still hold a deep love for the feeling of love, not for her herself. That's a very weird thing, but I don't want to feel alone. I don't want to feel like I'm living every day trying to just exist in a world where everyone's together, where everyone's happy, where everyone's, like something that seems a way, right? I obviously know people go through the same struggles, right? People, like you're probably watching this video either because, you stumbled across it and you're falling asleep, or maybe if I somewhat become popular on YouTube, um, maybe it's like you're scrolling back through an old memory, right, of me. But the thing I wanted to say is, I I deeply love the feeling of being loved, and I fear that I am not going to feel that feeling again. You know, because the feeling of love, you can't describe it. If I were to ask you, describe love to me, pretend I'm someone who doesn't truly understand love, right? Which is me when I went into the relationship, but I'll get into that later, right? You would say, I don't know, something like love is appreciation or affection towards another or one thing, or a deep longing for something. Whatever your definition is, it's most likely wrong, you know? I feel like love is something deeper than that feeling of whatever you're trying to describe, you know? I when I went into the relationship with her, I fell head over heels for her. And that's its own thing, you know, having to keep up with someone that you think you're not worthy for, not worthy loving. That was like one of my biggest insecurities, maybe, like maybe not being loved. I think that's one of my biggest insecurities, the fear that one day she's just gonna leave me. And, she did. And I'm healing. I think I'm already healed, but she caused a lot of damage. I remember when I was with her, I had a very bad depressive standpoint, and I would bed rot every day. I would waste every single day just to basically skip time. I didn't want to do school, I didn't want to do anything but be with her. And then the moments that I were with her and that I was with her, it felt very repetitive, and I felt like every single day was the same thing. We would call, and then she'd be like, I love you, right? Whatever. I'd be like, I love you too. I love you more, right? Whatever it is. And although that's very healthy to say I love you and everything, it felt so repetitive. It was every day. Every day it was the same thing. And I felt like it was draining me. Like something was holding me by the wrist and draining my blood, you know, like a vampire. And like every resource of energy I had went to her. And so I started getting more and more depressed while inside of the relationship, which was horrible, right? Because I started treating myself worse, and then that eventually started treating her worse. Not in like a way where I would verbally abuse her, right? Obviously, or even physically abuse her, right? But more in the sense of emotional deprivation, where I I hate to say it, but I would basically ignore her, right? And I would go out and I would drink alcohol, right? Again, although I was a minor and I still am a minor, um, I would have horrible drinking problems back then. And I remember this one time, she also had drinking problems and everything, but basically she went to this party, and this is while I was depriving her of my attention. She would tell me about all these guys that would like look at her, or tell me about all these guys that would talk to her. And I would assume, I don't think she ever told me, but I would assume that it was because she needed attention, and that was the only way she would get my attention, which was making me jealous, which was horrible, right? And so was, I want to say, doing the same thing, not on a purposeful level, but I kind of was. Like, I would go to this party. I went to this party one time, and there was this girl there. It was at my friend's birthday party. He turned like 15 at the time. He's older than me. Um, but yeah, I would go and I would drink at his house all the time, and he threw a big party, so I went and I got drunk, like really drunk, and I wanted to vomit so bad. And I ended up like going and resting on his couch. But although it was a party, right? There was people over there, and like a few girls, right? Like maybe one or two. I don't even know, right? But this one girl comes up to me. She looks exactly like my girlfriend, right? Exactly like my girlfriend. Um, and she basically climbs onto my lap, right, on the couch, and she just starts making out with me. And I don't know what really happened while we were making out. All I know was she came on to me and basically sexually assaulted me. If I don't know, I don't really know. I don't want to say that she sexually assaulted me, but the evidence points to it, right? I was really drunk. I didn't have a conscious mind, and therefore I didn't consent. So I guess in that sense, you know, got sexually assaulted, and it kind of hurts to think like that, that I got taken advantage of, like I was some object. It kind of hurts, thinking of it. I'm kind of repeating my words here, so I'm sorry about that, but um yeah, it really sucked. And I remember I walked home. And it's like probably, I don't know, 2 miles, whatever, from my house. And so I go back home. I fall asleep on my floor. Like I collapsed and then I fell asleep and then I woke up and then I immediately, got up to go pee and then get water and everything like that. While I was drinking, right, to try and wash out all the hangover, parts of my brain, I get this flashback. It was like visual, like a visual slashback, not slash flashback. Um, and it was of me making out with this girl, right, while she was on my lap, and I was like, oh fuck, like I think I cheated on my girlfriend. I gotta go tell her. So immediately I rush upstairs, and then I get on the phone, and I'm like, hey babe, I remember how I went to that party. Yeah, I was okay, right? I think I cheated on you while I was drunk. And so she was obviously mad, right? Obviously mad. I told her everything, right? When it came to my mind. It took me, I don't know, a few minutes, like 20 minutes to remember it all. But yeah, I told her about how the girl came on to me, how I was on the couch chilling, and then she just hopped on my lap and started kissing me. And I remember I told her, and that's all I remembered. And she was obviously upset, who wouldn't be? But the thing what she did was she ended up cheating on me. Like she went to another party because she was also uh like heavily addicted to, going to parties, getting drunk, getting high, whatever she could do, right? To feel good, right? She doesn't have a mother. So she doesn't really have, a lot of good experiences with life. Having no mother, it sucks. I have deep condolences for her mother, although, she mistreated me. Not her mother, but her herself, Violet, or whatever I named her. Um, but yeah, she got really addicted to alcohol as well. And I remember she went to this party and played spin the bottle. And she told me like 2 months after she went to this party, she said it was good, and everything, like when she just got back. And then like 2 months later, she said, "Remember that party I went to a few months ago? Yeah, I cheated on you." And I'm like, "Bro, like why?" And then she said, "It's payback." And I'm like, "Dude, you know, I didn't really think about it until like just now, which is why I'm talking about it, but sexual assault does not give someone the right to go and turn their back on you and cheat, right?" And so from that moment, I started like losing all feelings. All feelings I had for her, gone out the window, like romantic feelings. And I tried not getting mad, right? I don't think I even yelled. I was like, oh, okay, it's fine, I understand, right? Because from her viewpoint, I could understand why she would cheat, you know, but I never cheated in the first place, and I never got to tell her this within the relationship. And so, since I never got to tell her that I got sexually assaulted, and I never wanted to because I would much rather be seen as a cheater than me being seen as a weak guy. you know. And if you have ever gotten sexually assaulted as a guy, speak up about it, really. Like it truly does happen to some dudes, some more than others. I'll get into that later, but some more than others, it doesn't really matter. We all go through struggles such as sexual assault, so speak up about it. It does not make you weak. Please don't think about that, you know. But at the time, I was really, I want to say an incel. I don't want to use the word incel, but I would often like look at myself in the mirror and I would hate myself. I would tell myself that I need to be stronger, that I need to be better, that I need to be something different, an evolved version of myself, I guess you'd say, for her love. And that was such an unhealthy habit. And she was great, right? She told me that I shouldn't do that, that I need to, you know, do my own thing and still love her while loving myself. But I couldn't love myself. And I think that's kind of what fucked my relationship over, you know? Having that thought of no self-love. That's what, really messes up the love for others. But yeah, she ended up cheating on me, and then I lost all feelings for her. And then I still wanted to hold a grudge, but I couldn't. But I also could at the same time, and it put me in this really depressive state. And I keep saying that because I have been depressed for, I don't know, probably three full times within that relationship, which is a long time considering the fact that the relationship was only there for 8 months, maybe, however long it was. Um, I really had to deal with all that, and it made me feel like a weak guy for not, first off, not talking about it, and then second off, not not talking about it. You know what I mean? Like the only times I would talk about it to her, I remember I told her this one time. I was like, I don't know if I can like truly feel love because it's been such a long time, since I've had a girl like her, you know, because the first one I had, she ended up cheating on me. And then the second one I had, she eventually also cheated on me. That one's more justifiable than the first one, but at the same time, cheating is still cheating. So again, I'm not gonna hold this accountable for her, right? If you're listening to this, if you're watching this video, I I still, you know, I still have deep condolences for you, what you've gone through, everything that you've done. Still, I don't justify it, right? But at the same time, it doesn't matter. We're already over, right? But I wish I could have been better. And I'm working on myself now. And that's great. But I don't want to be seen as a bad guy. I don't want to be seen as someone who is a cheater. I don't want to be seen as someone who's this horrid person, you know? Like, I remember I have this friend. I'm not gonna say his name either. I'm just gonna call him Leo, for example. Leo, he's like, I don't know, a month. No, he's like a few weeks younger than me. However, much older I am than him doesn't really matter. The point is, he's younger than me. Doesn't really matter either. But Leo, he was dealing with depression a lot, and he was my best friend. Well, he was my best friend because I was also dealing with that kind of thought of suicide, of like I needed to be better, and if I don't get better by a certain amount of time, I would pull the trigger, And since we were really close on that mental health issue type of mentality, we, grew even closer from that. But one thing that happened was after I broke up with my girlfriend, because that's kind of what you have to do, especially after they cheat. It really does hurt, but what more can you do, right? Anyway, after I broke up with my girlfriend, um my homeboy, right? He was helping me through stuff, and it's his own thing. He helped out a lot. He made me laugh. I made him laugh. I hope. I wouldn't take a lot of things seriously because of how unserious I am naturally. Like even if it is a serious situation, I try and crack a joke every once in a while. Obviously, there's some times where I just don't, right? If it's a group of adults and I'm at like a funeral, I'm not going to do that, obviously. But anyway, I'm getting so off track. I'm sorry. Basically, he helped me through a lot, and I really am appreciative of that. However, one thing that I did wrong was, after I broke up with my girlfriend, um, basically she didn't text me a lot because I would rage bait her. Like that's the only thing I did. I would rage bait her to get her to talk to me because I had no one to talk to. And that's a very like I don't want to say it like that because it makes me seem like I have no friends. And I'll get into that talk later, maybe like tomorrow, whatever. But like every single day, I would like try and rage bait her to try and, you know, get her to talk to me. And it did work. It did make me crack up a lot. I was kind of a douche right back then. And I think she still sees me as one, for multiple different reasons. But that's the only way I could really get her to talk. And I don't know why I did that, honestly. I can't remember. But basically, one day, so one day, right, I accidentally said his real name, so I'm gonna cut that out of the video. But one day, Leo, he was texting me. I was like, "Yo, dude, I need you to help me with this prank on Violet real quick." And he was like, "Okay, I got you." So I gave him her phone number. I gave him uh her address. I gave him her basically everything. The fact that she has a dog, the fact that her mom died, basically everything to troll her, right? Because I was a fucking douche, right? And so I would do all of that, right? I would, you know, tell him to say this and say that, blah blah blah. And the prank did work a little bit well. And it was nice. It was funny for a little while. But I ended up, since I gave him her phone number, they started texting more often. And I know that my friend Leo, he's not especially popular with the women, as much as I am, right? And that sounds very cocky of me, but comparatively, he's not as popular with the women. And so I texted Violet after, she was texting me because she was mad about everything. And I was like, yo, dude, you should calm down. I was just gonna say, you should low key hit it off with, try it off with Leo. And so basically, she said, I'm not gonna do that. He's weird, he's a loser. I don't remember what she said exactly, but it was along that lines. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm just tired of, having to be here for him, and having to talk him through not committing suicide because of him just being lonely. But eventually they did start dating, and he was being a good bro. He was being a good bro for telling me, right? Because obviously it didn't hurt my feelings. I don't really care. Even now, I don't really care. What I care about is after they got into the relationship, after they started dating and everything like that, he started ghosting me. He started getting more mad, and you know, I don't want to say this, but when his aunt died, he said she was a great person, right? And I believe him. I'll take his word for it, right? But as soon as uh his aunt died, he just stopped believing in God. And right, obviously you can see my totem. It's Jesus Christ. I have a texture pack that changed it. That changes it, and it's pretty cool, right? It's whatever, right? But basically, he stopped believing in God, and it hurt, you know, to think that my friends, you know, might or might not go to hell, right? I don't want to say it like that. I really don't. But, if you know anything about Jesus, it's blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which is the only unforgivable sin. And so I want the best for him, right? I still do, which is why I'm supportive of my ex and him together, right? Even though it kind of hurts sometimes to think that he actually has a girlfriend and I don't. It kind of hurts my ego a little bit. It's like rubbing salt into the wound, you know? But anyway, he got with her. It's its own thing. It's fine, right? I don't really have a problem with that. What I have a problem with though is that when he got with her, he started ghosting me. He started being mean. He stopped believing in God. He stopped, talking to me. And every single day, I would just tell him, I was like, yo, dude, you gotta like convert back to Christ. You need to, find true happiness. It's not through her, bro. Trust me. Like, she drove me crazy. I'm just warning him, right? And he's like, okay, whatever, you're crazy, whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. I just said whatever like three times in a row. Excuse me. But yeah, basically, he stopped texting me and stuff. I started telling him about God. He started getting mad because he has anger issues. Um, and then one thing led to another, and now he hates me. One thing he said was because I was trying to prevent them being together, and I wasn't. He's blaming me for something that I never did, and it hurts to think that one of my best friends, if not my best friend that I've made within the last 3 years, has left me, you know? And it's for my ex. And now I'm looking around and I'm like, yo, I'm losing people. Like, I look around and I question, do I really have any friends, like true friends? Like, I hang around with people and stuff, and I talk to people, and it's its own thing. I'm funny. I make people's day. I try and be nice. I try and do all these things that make me beneficial to society. But at the same time, I feel like this emptiness inside. Not like how depression would, right? Because I've talked to my friend Leo about it, and he often says like he has like this pit in his stomach because of like depression and this feeling of emptiness. Even while he's dating my ex, he still said that. And I don't want to bring up God again because I'm scared I'm going to scare him away. But he called me annoying. He said he doesn't want to be my friend anymore, and I don't know why. I feel like everything I've done was out of respect and care, and he just hates me now. I told him that, I still love him as a bro, right? I still am here waiting for open arms. Waiting with open arms, my bad. Um, and he said that he wishes me to have a horrible life. Maybe it's deserved. Maybe I am a bad person, but I don't want to sit here and sulk and then pretend to be like, yo, can someone hold my hand and give me some pity? I don't want to be like that. I don't want to seem like I'm begging people for pity because I'm not. I just want to come on here and I wanted to say that life's been a little bit rough, and although life can be like that sometimes, I want you to remember, right? Person to person, guy to guy, woman to man, whoever you are, wherever you are, I really think that there's a better side of things, even through the bad, even through times of struggle, there's good. I just think you need to open your eyes and live your life